folks, welcome to the Decoy Shed. We're talking today with Ben Heinemann, who is a very well-known contemporary carver, and we're at the Midwest Decoy Show. Ben, thanks for taking time to talk with us today.
Thank you.
Could you tell us a little bit about how you got started carving?
Well, believe it or not, 35 years ago it was at this show. I was from Champaign, Illinois, and came up here at the Drake Oak Brook, and that was my very first show, and got to sit around with some very professional, high-class carvers and painters at that time.
One of the things that I think is unique to you is that you carve both contemporary decorative decoys, but you also carve hunting decoys that you actually hunt over.
Yes.
So
yes.
Tell us a little bit about the differences between those two types of styles of birds that you carve.
Well, like any art form, you want to create an above and beyond, because we focus for 25, 30 years on that high-end, very decorative, fine line, every feather painted, and our whole industry has now just changed a little bit to going back to what we started from, which was doing an original floating decoy that had to come into the tank, throw it in the tank. It had to be self-riding and everything, even though it had all the burn and texture parts to it. So now we're incorporating the same thing, but now we're back to doing the original art form of this thing, and that was a decoy. And it's just a different level of enjoyment when you're out and can throw out your own bird and gun over it.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Is there a particular species that you enjoy carving the most?
Yes and no. Yes, one, it's because it's my #1 seller, and that's the hen mallard. I'm known for, as my painting techniques is a different style than most, and of course it's obviously my best seller, so I enjoyed doing that.
Now, if folks wanted to see more examples of your work, do you have a website or Facebook page or something where they could go out and take a look at that?
Definitely. I have my own website, www.benheinemann.com.
So they can find all the information, how to get in touch with you and see what you have available and those type of things?
Yes, exactly.
Great. Fantastic. One of the segments that we're doing in the Decoy Shed is we're introducing folks to both collecting and carving. So any tips that you might have for any of those folks that think they might want to start dabbling in carving decoys?
Yes. Do as many of these type shows that you can afford to do. The more you see, the more you know. The more you talk with another carver, the more information that you can put behind your belt and put it into another bird.
So getting fine examples like you're holding here is a real good reference point for these new carvers. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. You only can increase your knowledge base by the times that you can see and compete with another decoy or see another artist doing their form. And that's the best thing you can do. And that's why all these shows are important.
And as you mentioned, you're renowned for the quality of the painting of your hens. Is that self-taught? Did you have somebody help you? How did you kind of work out all of these great paint strokes?
Good question. And yes, I have. It's one of those things that after 35 years you have to discover your own little style, your own little flair, and that's what I encourage everybody to do. And that's what I like about this business better than the competition business, because that was always trying to repeat what somebody else has already done. The fun thing about this is you can go up and look at ward birds and any other, Crowell Mitchells, and just say, this is my style. There's a bigger bill, bigger head, bigger body.
Any preference as far as medium goes? Acrylic versus oil? Does one have an advantage over the other?
Great question. Yes, the collectors all like oil-based birds. Everybody. They have a nice patina to them. They age. They just have a very nice flair. And I tell all the young carvers that approach me in my shop, if I had to do one thing to tell you, I'd say start with oils and go from there.
So it's not it's not a nightmare to work with them. It is just learning the techniques, and we hear a lot of times that people object to painting in oils because it takes a long time for the oil to dry.
Exactly.
What can you tell folks along that line? Is it really that bad?
Yes, it is. It's very frustrating, but the joy of that aspect Also, you can, put blendings into your birds that you can't do with an acrylic. Particularly this bird. This bird was painted with a filbert oil-based bristle brush, the whole bird with one. But you learn that once that is nice and soft, you can keep blending those colors and over and over and over, and that's what you can acquire with oil paints. You just can't even get by with an
So
acrylic.
that disadvantage of it taking longer to dry actually is a strength
Exactly.
of oil, because
Yes.
it gives you more working time.
Working time, yes. And is it frustrating? Yes, because it's one of the things that I try to tell all the guys. Do the best you can on one and go to the next one.
You've shared with us your thoughts on tips on carving and painting. Any thoughts or tips that you might share with the audience regarding collecting? For example, contemporary carver birds like yours.
Well, yes, and it's one of the things that I've always done and enjoyed doing, because it gives me something to collect as a contemporary artist that is a reasonable, it's a doable thing that somebody can get into at a base price. And you can find some other contemporary carvers as you can exchange with and trade with and still maybe go hunting with. And it's really one of those sportsman's things that you can enjoy together and also have your own little collectible thing starting. I collected a Marty Hansen bird when I started carving in 1978, and they're still sitting at my shelf at home today.
Terrific. Ben, thank you so much for
You're
your
welcome.
time.
Thanks.
I'm sure
Thank
our
you.
audience is going to enjoy seeing this segment. And until next time, we'll see you in the Decoy Shed.